Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Beyond the Work and the Multifamily Mixtape Mashup. You like how I did that? I just made that up. I didn't plan it ahead of time. It just came out and
You're
it
not
worked.
watching an episode of The Turnover. That's our other show with our other co-host, Paul Rhodes.
That's right.
This is part 2 of Mark and I's discussion on our Advocate conference that
That's
we
right.
attended
That's right.
a couple weeks ago. And at this point,
Yeah.
So yeah.
So at the end of last episode, Chris, we were talking about RPM Careers Week, and we were talking about the importance of being involved and showcasing your property, your teams. And so for those of you who are out there listening, watching, do not forget to submit your videos, show some love to your teams, make it fun, make it exciting, hashtag RPM Careers Week, and just give the video. Why do you love RPM? Why do you love residential property management? What is it about it that you love? A lot of us fell into this industry. A lot of us did not choose this as a career, but here we are making the best out of it. And I've had a 25-year career in this, and I would not do anything else. So I will be submitting videos about why I love what I do for RPMs. We need you to do the same. Chris, anything to add on that?
No, it's a great opportunity. There's also, we didn't talk about it on our last episode, but if you go to the Residential Property Management or RPM Careers website, there's this great new career mapping tool that was just rolled out at Advocate. It was really brought to our attention, and you could find some tips and resources from the National Apartment Association and NAA's Education Institute on mapping your path. Big shout out to Tiana Heath at NAA, staff member who worked diligently on this and is a staff liaison for several of the committees I work on. Tiana, nice. I love you. Nice. You're a great addition to the team. But there's some great resources. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure. You kind of click on a career path and you can see all the different types of communities you can work at, average compensations, and resources from NAA to either learn more about that role, that part of the industry, those types of communities, or educational opportunities, which is pretty awesome. I wanted to make sure we hit on that because that was something that we missed out during our last discussion on RPM careers.
Yeah, I remember sitting in the meeting and then breaking out that map and just all the different options and things that I thought that was phenomenal. I didn't know that the individual who created that. What was her name again?
Tiana Heath. And, she really, I don't want to say that she solely created it, but she really led the charge and did an amazing job on putting it together. So I wanted to make sure I gave her a shout out.
Awesome.
She's also a listener of both of our shows. So
even better.
I found a listener, Mark. That was the best part about Advocate for me.
I think I'm up to 5 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I count my parents as 2. Hi, Mom and Dad.
Yeah. No. Hi, Chris's mom and dad. Thank you for listening to our combined show. We appreciate it. Chris, I'm sorry. I'm going to get off topic here, but you said, I think you told me once, and this is a funny story, but your parents, when they watch your episode, they sit down on the couch, they pull it up on the big screen, and they just watch your show and then text you afterwards like, great job, Chris.
And I get notes. I
love that.
My mother still wants me to paint my, I'm 30, 32, 33 episodes in and have this awful yellow wall color in my office. Every week or so I'll get a text like, when are you going to paint your office? Like, I don't have time. I'm recording podcasts. I don't have time to take apart my entire office, but sometime in the near future, hopefully this summer, my audience is going to see a very different wall color and a completely different background here. So hi, Mom and Dad, I'm going to paint soon. I promise.
Yeah. But I do the same thing with the turnover when the turnover gets released, because I really enjoy our episodes. Each of the three of us together, we each have our own shows. Some of them are very serious, some of them, but when the three of us get together, it's fun because it brings out our natural personalities, and we love playing off of each other and picking on Paul when he accidentally hits the mute button. But so I do the same thing on Saturday mornings when the turnover gets released. I come downstairs, I pour myself a tea, and I turn on the television and I just watch the episode because it's fun. And but anyway, back to the reason why we're here. So on committee work, and because Advocate was the first kickoff for the in-person meetings, I think a lot of committees had maybe a Zoom meeting or a virtual meeting at some point in the beginning of the year, but this was the first time we were able to sit in the room together and go over some of the survey results and some of the things that that had come up. And I had mentioned on the last episode that I'm on IRO, and some of the things, our big thing was what keeps you up at night. And I mentioned one of our topics was evictions, but one of the other topics, and the more important topic, was employment retention. How can we, as the National Apartment Association, help IROs keep their talent? Because ma and pa's I say ma and pa, I don't mean that term negatively, but just single owner, independent rental owners make up a very large portion of the multifamily industry. So with NAA and all of the resources they have with the credentialing program, independent rental owners may not know that there is a CAMT certification, the certificate for a certified apartment maintenance technician. And that is a great way to invest in the education for your on-site maintenance teams. But there's CAM, there's CALP. So CAM's certificate or certified apartment manager, CALP, certified apartment leasing professional, and then there's CAPS, the certified apartment portfolio supervisor.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of different ways that independent rental owners can receive education from NAA for these credentialing opportunities. And that's another thing that we're trying to do with an IRO to get out, to let them know, like, hey, because there was a survey done a while ago about employee retention, why people leave their employment. And a lot of it was because they either see no growth, there's no future in front of them, or their employer doesn't invest in their professional growth, just as far as the education part of it. And I just recently did an episode with Kelsey Corey, and she mentioned the 4 C's. So you have compensation, challenges, the commute, and there's a fourth one that'll come to me in probably 20 minutes. But are they getting those 4 C's? Do they have 2 of the C's? Do they have 3 of the C's? And that's why a lot of people are leaving. But that's just some of the extra work that we're doing within IRO. But I know you only talked about a couple of the committees you're on. So give us some more insight into what the committee work that you're doing.
Yeah. So last year I was the chair of the operations committee.
Nice.
This year I'm a member of the operations committee again. Operations committee is very unique because operations is a very broad title. It's a very broad scope. So one of the things that we do, which is a recurring theme with your committee, is we start every conversation with what keeps us up at night.
Yeah.
Because what we found is in all of the committee work, and it's not the only committee we use that as a guiding light for discussion, is that what we find is the same thing that's keeping Mark Sharp up at night is the same thing that's keeping Chris Caramanica up at night.
Yeah. And
by having those shared conversations, we may have ideas on why it's keeping us up at night and what we can do, to not belabor the point. What can we do to get a good night's sleep? What can we do to fix it? Because if it's affecting us, it's affecting others who aren't in the room, and it's affecting our team members and our owners and our managers, not just the people that are in the room. It's really affecting the industry. And that kind of shared experience is really cool. So on the operations committee, we break down into several different areas, which is very exciting. The mental health initiatives, mental health week from NAA, which is in mid-May, is run by the operations committee. It's really put together by the mental health subcommittee that's part of the operations committee. That's coming up in mid-May, so 1 month away. We have we'll talk. I'll definitely be talking more about this on future episodes of both of all of our shows. Actually, I know mental health is really important to you, Mark, and I know you've done 3 separate episodes on mental health. I've done a couple myself, and it is a week of acknowledgement of bringing in industry experts from the National Mental Health Wellbeing Council, industry experts from the apartment rental industry that really focus on mental health. And we do, there's webinars and tools and resources that are really published in the month of April. I'm sorry, the month of May, to help team members and organizations to really focus on that. So that's a huge part of one of the main tent poles of our operations committee. We also focus on big trending industry issues, and it could be anything from legal changes in EV EV chargers getting installed at properties to things that are really affecting day-to-day operations, whether it is publishing of fees that's being required, what organizations are doing to publish fees at their sites, either in their lease or on their websites. So that's one group that we have, another tent pole. The third tent pole we have is our operational content. So what we're really focusing on as a committee this year is the tools and resources for organizations, for members, to go to naahq.org and find checklists and stock letters and internet resources without having to do a Google search or an AI search. So we're really focusing on the online content from the National Apartment Association, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the fourth, you can't have a really strong tent without 4 tent poles. So the fourth one is obviously the one that I am very involved in, is that's our maintenance subcommittee. We spent a lot of time talking about my least favorite word in the English language these days. Mark, what's my least favorite word in the English language?
Oh, I don't know.
It starts with a C.
It starts with a C.
And we've talked about it quite a bit. It's a pretty long word.
Oh God, no. Centralization.
Yes. So we spent a lot of time talking about centralization this week, despite my best efforts. So what we're doing is as a committee, no matter what your views are on centralization, especially when it comes to maintenance, I think I've made my views very clear in multiple different outlets. But what we want to do, oddly enough, Mark, and you don't even know this, you don't even talk about this, is that as a subcommittee, we want to work with the IRO committee and look at centralization do's and don'ts, or the best practices, or that could help our IRO partners.
Nice.
So that's something that you and I, you're finding this out live on this recording.
What am I being volunteered for?
Yeah, you just got voluntold that my committee is going to work with your committee, and you and I are going to probably end up spearheading it, despite our feelings on the word, to really provide operators, IRO operators, with some best practices, do's and don'ts. And we want to get that out we're going to get that out in one form or another, whether that's an apartmentalized session or a units article or a white paper, to the company, to the organization at large, to our industry at large.
Yeah.
So that was really exciting. We also had some great conversations. Last year, we did a great maintenance survey on call. I will tease it here. We are working on a survey for Apartmentalized 2025 that will be hopefully getting out and pushing out there. do not know what the focus is going to be, but we really want to hear from our maintenance professionals. So that's one of the other things that our committee is working on, as well as other apartmentalized sessions and articles and things like that. So that's the kind of stuff that I love. It's, I hear from different people, all over the country. And that's one of the many things I love about the committee work that we have the privilege and honor to do for our industry, because we can come up with ways to move the needle, right, and solve those things that do keep us up at night.
Yeah. And I would just like to make a clarifying statement on centralization. You see me shaking my head, and you know my problem with centralization is just that there are too many definitions of what that means to the industry. To some, it's a way to centralize data, and it's a way to make things easier to receive information and use information. In that aspect, I am all for centralization. Please make maintenance easier. Yes. And the technologies are out there. There are some phenomenal technologies out there to do it. If you're centralizing to reduce staff, that's when I have a problem. So just to clarify, I love
Understood.
centralization from a data perspective. If you're reducing staff, cutting jobs, not a fan. Okay, carry on.
So that, I also have the honor of working on the Affordable Housing Committee. Nice. It's my first year with them.
Nice.
As an affordable housing professional with my organization, I think it's really important. The Affordable Housing Committee is doing a ton of work, especially at the highest national levels, to make sure that programs that are in place, like Section 8, like LIHTC, yes, or any number of subsidized programs that are provided to owners, operators, and ultimately our residents, to ensure that those that are in the greatest need are getting proper, safe, secure, well-maintained housing. Lots of meetings happen outside of those committee meetings from our committee. And in the current last episode, we were talking about the importance of advocacy, and really we've seen the Affordable Housing Committee grow as the NIMBY is still a thing. Unfortunately, not in my backyard. So we're focusing on YIMBY. Yes, in my backyard.
Yes, in my backyard.
Yeah. We're focusing on programs not being cut. We're focusing on increased loan opportunities for developers to build affordable housing, because it's not just maintaining what exists. We have a housing crisis, and especially in the affordable housing sector, we need more housing. So the Affordable Housing Committee and its members are some of the most passionate people I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
On that one meeting, I felt more passion in a room than I've ever felt in my life, because we are doing what's best for our residents, our country, our employees, really everybody. And you also know this, Mark, because you work in, and then you have worked in that sector, the affordable
I'm in the affordable
sector.
Space. Yes.
Yeah. So that was great. I'm also a member of I'm the Region 2 representative for our NAA EI Board of Directors. So that's always there's two boards at NAA. NAA EI has their own board of directors, because it's an independent arm, nonprofit arm of NAA. And then NAA has their board of directors, which is also the other reason we all assemble, is that all the delegates from the various regions, as well as the regional vice presidents from each region, discuss issues for the national level, vote on items and topics that affect the course of our association, things that we're going to do or stop doing, changes that need to be made. So that kind of encapsulates what one day of this is, all in one day, guys and girls, right? Our committee days, whether it's at Advocate or Apartmentalize or our last meeting of the year called Assembly of Delegates, it is a breakneck all day, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., actually 6:30 p.m. when you count our our
The
reception
networking. Yeah.
and networking. So I think that's I love a good segue. Our networking opportunities to really
Yeah.
get out of those meeting rooms and digest a little bit what we talked about for what's which is a full day's work.
Yeah.
Everybody always says, enjoy your vacation. When I put up my out of office to go to these conferences, I'm like, it's anything but a vacation. I wish I work harder. I feel like, and I hope nobody from my company is watching today. I feel like I work harder at these conferences than I do because it's a breakneck pace. You're in really high level meetings and you have a limited amount of time with people you only see in person 3 times a year to really hunker down, focus on the issues and come up with a plan. So it's anything but a vacation. Ladies and gentlemen. It is volunteering. We're not paid for this.
No.
It is, thankfully we have organizations, you have organizations and I have organizations, and many of us that go to these conferences and committee meetings have organizations that support us. But one of the other big things that we do is networking. So why don't we go around that, because that's also a huge part of our industry is actually any industry really, but it's a huge part of what we do.
It is, and that's one of excuse me, that's one of my favorite parts about the conferences is the networking. It is the you follow a group of people or a bunch of people, industry folks on your social media, whichever platform you're on, but it's getting to see them and meet them face to face and have some of those conversations. Hey, I really like what you posted the other day. Here's why, and boom, 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 and you rattle it off, and you create that. You create that relationship, and these are individuals that are out there in the trenches with you, having the same problems, having the same challenges, the same victories that you have. Because like you said, Chris, earlier, we're in different parts of the country, but we're all working towards the same goal. We're in advocating these conferences as a way to bring the entire country together. You have people from the state of Washington. There were people from Texas, and I'm just going off of my memory of conversations I had, but you have everyone descending on DC at the same time. And so when you get together to network, it's, I'm talking about my committee and the things that keep us up at night. And here's what we're working on. And, Chris, you're in a few other committees, but there's overlap. There's things that operations are going to do to help IRO. There's things that IRO are going to do to help Next Gen. There's things that Next Gen is going to do to help IRO. And NAAEI with the joint committee now with curriculum development and program administration. I mean, there's a lot of overlap. So the networking is really good because you get to have these face-to-face conversations with individuals outside of that little 45-minute committee meeting. And it's really good. And on networking and on relationships, I wanted to bring up, you and I recorded an episode not that long ago on being involved in your apartment association. And we got a pretty phenomenal shout out from the executive director of the Apartment Association of North Carolina, John Lauder, whom you had never met.
No.
And so we were at a reception, and I looked over and I know John from other things, and I just asked you, I'm like, hey, have you ever met John? Did you even see what he posted, or did you even? And you're like, no, I have no idea. So we walked over, we met John, and we had a pretty phenomenal conversation with John Lauder, the executive director of AANC, and how he had watched our episode. And again, we've talked about this kind of off screen. You know who watches your episodes and you know who don't, because the type of conversation you have with them. But the fact that he was bringing up specific points, specific things that you and I mentioned in that podcast, I was like, oh, He actually did listen.
So let's have a little bit of fun, because we are 25 minutes into this episode.
Yeah.
So the secret word is grapefruit. If you are listening to our episode, all we want you to do is go to either Mark's LinkedIn page or my LinkedIn page and just type the word grapefruit. That's the secret word.
Do it.
So
I'll send you something. I'll send you a swag item. Type it in. Let's go.
Ooh, and yeah, I have some Beyond the Work swag coming soon. If my good friend would give me a bar of his soap, I'm quite upset he did not fly out a bar of soap for me. I have my mixtape hat. It's just out of reach, but I could really, I would have loved that little box.
I got a lot of flack for not doing that, but I didn't want to have to explain to TSA why there were 20 bars of soap in my check-in.
So we need swag. We need swag that is TSA approved. So that's maybe what we'll focus on with the Multifamily Media Network to get some flight safe swag. So yeah, big shout out to John Louder. That was a fantastic conversation.
It was.
One of the other things I just want to, huge shout out to our supplier partners who really support NAA at all levels. They support the receptions. They support Careers Week, and they are true partners. There's too many to mention. I don't want to. It's not about not saying their names or giving them free ad time. There's just too many to mention. There's so many people that I am personally friends with, that I work with, that I don't even use their products and services, but I use them as resources and sounding boards, and because they are a huge part of our industry.
Yes.
I think Mark, I don't know if we're gonna ever record a part 3, but we probably could. I don't want to tease a part 3, but we'll let you all know on social media if we're going to revisit our Advocate Conference conversation.
That's right.
And I'll leave us with this. I think we'll be talking a little bit more about our conferences this year, and I think that it's a really cool thing to be diving into our committee work, because it really does matter, and there's going to be more volunteer opportunities coming. To everybody in this industry very soon. It's a little early for me to speak to it, but it's kind of a little bit of heads up. We got something coming from the National Apartment Association that is really going to make some changes.
Yeah.
So Mark, if you want to wrap this episode,
let's do it.
I'm ready to be wrapped up, buddy.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining us for part 2. Will there be a part 3? Who knows? And also, I hope you all have a wonderful grapefruit.